Have I ever given you guys games? Oh, 4 o'clock. They remind me, and I give whoever reminds me a free game. Just if you want a free game, remind me to start recording. Yeah. Yeah. It's happened twice. Twice. I go in my humble bundle leftovers and I send out a code. Too late. I already started recording, Carrie. Try again on Thursday. Okay, going back to sharing. Okay, so new right club. Places. Got to come up with places. This is another um, game writer's job that is like the most thankless because, hi, Karen. I'm going to unmute you because I need my sidekick, Karen.
I couldn't get Discord going today. I don't know why. I'm still having trouble with Discord, so I had to hunt you guys down on my phone.
Okay, well, we're doing Right Club.
All right.
So let's face it. Everybody thinks they can write, especially those who can't, which I guess is a horrible self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you think you can write, does that mean you can't? I don't know. It's bad. Mostly what happens is you go into meetings in games. Oh, also, I have a cool text adventure about being a writer in a meeting. It's called The Writer Will Fix It. Where basically everybody else in the game studio comes up with terrible ideas and then says, let the writer fix it. This is what generally happens. This is our lot in life. So you are asked to come up with place names. We're going to, and usually there are placeholder names like the bar and the street and the store, and you can tell if they haven't expended enough budget on writing, that those placeholder names end up in the game. But if they have paid the writer, which we like, getting paid is good, then the writer does a pass and actually replaces all the placeholder names with actual names. So we are making a hard-boiled detective game. It's, I don't know, it's an adventure game, or maybe an action RPG. I don't know. It's hard-boiled. It's noir. It's dark. It's always raining. And
kind of appropriate for today.
Yeah. And you all have to come up with a place name. As usual, come up with 3. If any one of them is good, you get the credit. Bam. So in this one, we don't even have to, I think of it as an adventure game, but we don't even have to define what kind of game it is. Just that it's noir, it's hard boiled. So, for instance, the place where Batman's parents died is named Crime Alley. Which, if in your city there was an alley named Crime Alley right next to the Opera House, would rich people walk down Crime Alley? I don't think so. So, but it's comic books. It's Batman. So that is, yeah, named after John Crime, the opera founder. Yes, they are. Eat the rich, Eddie. Rich people are the perpetrators of most modern crimes. So, try to come up with something better than Crime Alley, but hey, it was what, 1930 when Batman was invented? When was Batman invented? When was Batman created? 1939. So hopefully we've come further than Batman. If you don't know what noir or hard-boiled detective fiction is it named Crime Alley because his parents died there? I thought it was already Crime Alley when they walked down it. Yeah, why? Mother has her pearls on. Dad's got his tux on. They're depending on what story you read. It's either the proto Joker or just some dude who mugs them and shoots them both, except for the kid. Anyway, so feel free to use the internet all you want for noir or hard-boiled detective fiction to see what that's like if you don't know. Shorter is usually better. If you need to explain it, feel free to explain it. But generally speaking, things that you need to explain are probably not all that great because they need an explanation, right? So also places can be as small as an alley or a river or a city. Gotham is a very noir city, or as big as a country, right? Latveria. It's not noir, but it's. I'm in a comics frame of mind today. Latveria is where Doctor Doom is from. Even a planet, right? Is there a noir planet? Crime Planet. Yes, that's very noir. Crime Planet.
Straightforward.
So, as usual, 3 chances. Any one gets you the credit. And I will get to last week's stuff tomorrow. I'm so behind. Okay. Let's stop the share for now. So I saw a bunch of you were doing the locksmith arg. I felt all smart when I looked up the 4th word of Jane Eyre. That was exciting. It's very British. We've got Jane Eyre. We've got the Royals. We have to use pounds, right? So let's see. No, there is no grade for this. This is mostly just another game that we're talking about so that we know kind of what an ARG is and one way to approach making one that is entirely online, right? So an ARG is an alternate reality game. We've been reading about alternate reality games since week 1 in the Transmedia book. So normally an alternate reality game takes place. Transmedia is also another name for it. It takes place across media, which is what transmedia is supposedly defining. Transmedia can also mean that we have stories that use different mediums. So way back when I got all excited because I went to a Montreal conference and it said Assassin's Creed and the future of transmedia storytelling, right? And I was like, oh, there's going to be an Assassin's Creed ARG. I'm so excited. I'm going to go to this talk. And I'll get the inside poop on the Assassin's Creed ARG, and I'll start playing it, and it'll be because okay. So there I go. I go to the thing, and there is no ARG. This was Ubisoft's idea of we are going to invade all mediums, right? So there's going to be an Assassin's Creed movie, and there's going to be an Assassin's Creed comic book, and there's going to be Assassin's Creed novelizations, and we're going to do Assassin's Creed live symphony orchestra, right? Um, and that's what they meant by transmedia across all media, and a, a bunch of kind of large corporations take that to mean that's what transmedia means, is that we're just going to put out every kind of version of this story. In fact, when Matrix 2 and 3 came out, um, Aaron says, never expect anything from AAA game companies who released games that were buggy AF. Um, yeah, hey. Um, at the same time, one of the best alternate reality games was for Halo 2. So, that's AAA game company putting out. Let me tell you, when the people playing the ARG found out they were playing something that led to the Halo 2 release party, they all kind of went, oh. Because the people who were into alternate reality games were not exactly big Halo fans, and vice versa, right? So, in fact, I have around here somewhere. I'll go searching. It's in my piles. I hope I didn't bring it in. If you were one of the big players in the I Love Bees alternate reality game, you got a VIP pass to the Halo 2 release party. And so these kind of I'm a super genius, solved 8 billion puzzles to get here, got there. And there were also like uh, uh, just video game duders who were like, yeah, I like Halo. And they were like, I solved 8 billion puzzles to get here, and you played Halo. And it actually turned a bunch of people against the product, which is exactly what you don't want to do. So AAA game companies getting back to transmedia. Um, so for years, alternate reality games um, didn't know how to pay for themselves, right? You can't. Um, they were not in and of themselves um, profitable. You because essentially, what do you buy? It's supposed to be this secret thing, and look at the one y'all played. It's a bunch of PDFs and an autoresponder email and a website. Um, so I paid my £2 because I wanted, yay, good for them. They made something cool. You didn't have to, and that's the only way she'd get players. Now, think about this, y'all. There were 23 of you. Yeah, it is better than a cup of coffee, Karen. Um, uh, there were 23 of you. Out of the 23 of you, and 24 are actually 25, including Karen and I, right? out of the 25 of us, um, 4 of you worked on it, at least clearly worked on it. Did anybody else, um, I don't know, get their roommates or families or significant others involved and sit down and say, we're going to do this and play? Um, mm, Looking in the chat. Anybody else? Anybody else? Uh, Olivia played with her D&D group over Zoom. Lena sweats nervously. Sebastian, didn't you kind of jumped in at the end, but you were one of the I didn't read closely because I was trying to write this email, but you were kind of like how does all this work person in the chat, but you were there. um, um, and mostly it looks like Liv and Sourdough Starter, whoever that is, were the ones who solved it. Seems like. Yeah, I figured Olivia. That makes sense. Liv and Olivia. Um, Aaron had a 2-hour time of frantic puzzle solving last night. Okay. I played around with it some yesterday. I read everything, and then I'm like, oh, I got to get back and do the puzzles, and I never did because I got busy today. Avery got stuck trying to find the third number. Yeah, this is the way it works. In general, about so here I will. Where's my? There it is. I am gonna get out my drawing tools yet again. Okay, the big thing about ARGs. Oh, hold on. Let me undo that. How do I undo? Undo. There we go. Okay. I wish I could just draw shapes. No. Can't draw shapes. What's this? Ooh, okay. I'll go with that. I like that. Okay. Now, I am going to. Whoa! It's like I can draw. Okay. And then I'm going to do another one of these. And another one of these. And pretend this does not exist. There, I can draw. Okay, so essentially, there are 3 types of players, not just for ARGs, but for everything. There's what we call drive-bys, drive-by players, let's call them. And these are people who check in. They downloaded the thing. They say, "Wow, this looks really cool. I would like to be a part of this. Maybe I don't have time right now. I'll check back in," and then they forget about it, and you never see them again. Right? That's a drive-by. They stop at your website. They check things out, and they're gone forever. Sometimes, and essentially that's what I did. I was a drive-by on this one. I downloaded the thing. I read all the little notes. Said, "Oh, I went and found the 4th word of Jane Eyre. Felt really good about myself." Let me get the chat up. And Liv accidentally solved it. I don't know where to find the third number, but you got there. and Sebastian had to believe. Oh, Liv had to believe she could. So this is the vast majority of players of any game. Do you know how many games I have in my Steam library that I have never downloaded and never played? But hey, they were on sale, right? Woohoo! Uh, I have, let's see. How many games are in my Steam library? Does it say? Uh, 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 727 games in my Steam library, uh, most of which I haven't played. There are 93 games in my done category. I could, so yeah, essentially, I can. That's what I've been saying. If all summer we go nowhere and do nothing, I'm good. I got enough on Steam uh, that I can occupy myself. So these are not just our type of players. Then casual players. These stop in, say, "Wow, this looks really cool." I'm terrible at puzzles. Um, how? Who? Anybody uh, um, know how to do this? Um, what was this thing? Look at this thing. I saw this thing, um, and I don't know how to do anything. But hey, you're really smart. You solved it. Good for you. And they send messages like that. It looks like Sebastian was kind of that kind of person. You tuned in. You said, I don't know. And then other people said, hey, I solved this. And you're like, wow, you're smart. And then somebody else said, and then I checked this out. And you were like, that's cool. Right? These are the casual players who follow along. They don't actually, uh, what do you say? I'm not saying they don't actually solve any. Well, they don't. They would say they don't actually solve anything. These are the sounding boards. They know what's happening. They check in every once in a while, but they don't solve anything themselves. They let other people do it. But the very fact that you were there, Sebastian, um, means that the people who were solving things had an audience and they felt seen, right? So you did something. You absolutely did something. Um, and then the fewest, the few, the proud, uh, are um, the hardcore players. And over time, the term hardcore, I've been using the term hardcore since, I don't know, 2000. Um, yeah, the true gamer, it's kind of got this weird gatekeeping BS about it, that only the hardcore are the true gamers. Um, that's not true. Um, I Casual players and drive-by players have their place too. Um, Number one, uh, when I Love Bees, which was the Halo 2 ARG, said they had over 3 million players. They were counting everybody. So every single drive-by, every single person that landed a unique impression on their website, they counted. Uh, and when that company, which it was 42 Enterprises, was the marketing company who made it. They said, "Hey, use us. This whole ARG thing is taking off. You should make ARGs to uh, show off your products and services. Over 3 million players were part of this ARG. That helped them. That helped them to get more business, right? At the same time, the true numbers, which they don't publicize, but at various conferences, I've talked to the creators of I Love Bees, and they said they had about 130,000 quote unquote real players, right, or hardcore players. So what percentage of 3 million is 130,000? Calculator. Type in calculator. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 300,000. That's 3 million. What is it? Divide. Oh well, it should be. Wait, math, man. 130, 1, 2, 3. Clear. 130, 1, 2, 3 over 3.
It's approximately 1/30. Approximately.
1 over 30, 1/30th.
Yeah, approximately.
Or 0.04% of their total players were hardcore. 0.04%.
That's
So
4%, isn't it?
or is it? Oh yeah, it's 4%. Okay, 4%. So we had to clear again. Math, man. We
I was just going
had
to say, they all know now that they have to put math in their ARG to.
4 divided by 25. We had 16% players.
Wow.
We did better than I Love Bees. 16% versus 4%. We had 4 times the number of players that I Love Bees had. Think about it. So part of the reasoning for this, it's actually, it's 3:35. Okay. Part of the reasoning for this is the biggest I think I've said this already in this class, but the biggest thing that you have is not money, because you don't have that much money. I'm guessing you're college students. You don't have that much money. But your attention, where you decide to spend what little money you have, is much more valuable. And your social networks, think about how many millions Zuckerberg and Dorsey have, because they've capitalized on social networks. Your social networks, your ability to say to other people, I like this, is much more valuable than however much money you spend, because every time you say you like this, 4 other people spend that same amount of money. So everybody is vying for your attention. Everybody from the biggest corporations on the planet. Disney's had a bad month or two, but they work really hard to keep you in their ecosystem, to say, hey, look at this other cool thing. Look at this other cool thing. If you like this, you'll like this. Down to the lowliest indie developer saying, hello, I made a cool thing, right? Um, so from here on out, I gotta share the next thing. Y'all are gonna make an ARG. Um, and I talked about this on the first day, but haven't since. But I've since put up um, the assignment. All right, and I've clarified some things. So the this is due on Wednesday, May 11th,
6.
6th. Sorry, it ends on the 11th. So this is basically your design doc for your arc. So I realize that if everybody puts in the exact same thing, because you're all going to be working on this together, right? So I'm going to split this up between the groups. There are 6 groups, and actually, I'm going to put together. Let me kill this, and this is how I usually do it in a spreadsheet. I've done it um, in Canvas. Sorry, I'm having brain farts today. I can't talk. So, and in fact, this is a player. I changed this because rustling sounds. Okay, so I divide things up. There are going to be 4 characters: a sidekick, a mentor, a goddess, and a villain. You notice there's 1 character missing. Let me. Which character is missing? The hero. Why is the hero missing? Come on. It's the player. Yay. Okay. Thank you, Nick. The player is the hero, so we don't need to create the hero. And 1 year, I just asked everybody cold, what's an ARG? And they're like, is that the thing where you're a spy? And I'm like, no. Is that the thing where you're like a superhero? I don't know. And they're like, well, what are you? And I'm like, you're you. You are you. You bring exactly how many talents and skills you have. Um, and you get embroiled in a web of espionage and intrigue. What would happen if you suddenly were in this massive conspiracy, right? And everybody decided they would probably die. Yes. Aaron says bad things. Yes. But together, you actually have quite a few skills. And that's the kind of joy and wonder of crowdsourcing, right? Is that back during the I Love Bees game, the players were just chewing through puzzles left and right. Oh, there's a kitty, and Carrie's saying hello, kitty. Okay, sorry. Um, so players were just like solving every puzzle that the creators could come up with in like less than an hour. So they said, the creators said, hey, let's come up with the hardest puzzle we can. And they came up with this thing that you needed to be a biochemist to solve. Like a legit biochemist. and they put it out there. They figure, oh, now we get to get at least a little breathing room. We'll have a week to come up with new content. Players solved it in 3 hours because there were 4 biochemists playing. Right. Um, so that's the wonderful thing about crowdsourcing. That's why people say to the internet, "Hey, can someone on the internet make this?" Right, and then somebody does, because the internet is full of people with many talents. Um, so okay, so I divided up into leads, right? And that's the person who is in charge of the writing group and the artist group and the gameplay group and the tech group. Uh, and then I assign one person from each of those groups to a character. So you could be the sidekick writer, or the mentor writer, or the goddess writer, or the villain writer. It doesn't quite work um, with having 5 producers, right? Um, because uh, what I found is that the lead producers do a big pile of work, and the sidekick producers, like, my if they're good, their group is working well, and they have nothing to do. If they're bad, uh, they disappear, they don't do anything, and their group doesn't do well. Either way, the 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 group producers find themselves uh, not doing much. So what I've done instead, and the other thing is, uh, having a single lead producer um, is a lot of responsibility for one person, which um, which in the past students have taken on that lead producer role, and then found that it's too much. And I've had lead producers ghost and say, "I'm out," and then we're all sitting in class going, "Where's our lead? Who's running this show?" And nobody knows. Um, so what I do now is I have a lead producer and well, a double lead producer. So 2 people to take over the production of the entire thing. Um, and then with the other 3, so I say it's a lead producer and their sidekick, but really they're equal. Um, and then I've got a separate category of player recruiting, where essentially the your main um, problem, your main challenge, is to get people to play your game. Your game is only going to run for 6 days, and then it'll be over. So what we found is that um, the player recruiters um, have to be out there pushing and onboarding people who weren't paying attention on day 1 to come along in day 2 or 3, right? So that, hey, this looks cool, how do I start? You're not pushing them back to the beginning. You're saying, this is where we are now, this is the story thus far, come on in, join the crowd, it's a lot of fun, right? At the same time, and remember, you've got a captive audience. You've got 25 people in the 4 o'clock class who are required to play your game. Guess what? Most of them won't. um, that's the way of it. Um, So what I have also loaded the player recruiting, and that's why I called it rustling, but it seems diminutive to the job. Um, so I think recruiters is a more positive term. Um, you are going to be kind of putting together schedules for this class to play their game, right? So, for instance, um, somebody is like, "Hey, I'm really busy on Fridays. I can't do this on Friday." Oh, okay. Are you available on Thursday? And we know we have 23 people in this class. You have a list of them. So uh, you have a who's playing today list, right? And that doesn't mean if you're not on that list you can't play, because let's face it, lots of times the lead writer is done by the time the game starts, right? I wrote the entire story, and I know what everything. My job is done, right? Um, so I get to play their game during the arc. So there are different times when the work will be heavy for different jobs, right? So that's producer. Producer is putting together schedules, running meetings, um, and making sure Dean doesn't get fired and no one's a jerk, and making sure that uh, the biggest the biggest challenge for creating the game is kind of the wrangling of 23 people, because let's face it, you guys have never worked in a group this large on a single project. uh, I This is the only one I know that takes an entire class and makes one game in all of the IMGD curriculum. And if you think about it, uh, uh, a small to medium sized studio is 20, 30 people. So uh, this is the kind of group that you'll be working with if you get into game dev. Um, Unless you go join Ubisoft and you're one of 300 people doing Assassin's Creed animations, right? Which, nothing wrong with that. But the vast majority of you will be working in much smaller groups. Um, and certainly, even if you're part of the 300 people, um, you'll only be dealing with, the five other people who are part of your I don't know, weapon animation group, right? And you'll be working on weapon animations, and you don't have to worry about how everything fits in the entire giant AAA game. So that being said, um, writers. Oh, I'm over time. Writers, lead writer writes the overall story, um, and each character writer writes uh, the Bible, their character sheets essentially, and any other writing. So if the villain is somebody's grandma who has an evil plan, maybe she has a GeoCities page that looks like it's from 1996. Who's going to write that? Well, the villain writer is going to write that. Um, Artists, uh, art. I use the term artist loosely in that the art involved in an ARG can be visual. That's fine. Exactly. If you can draw, you want to be a part of the artist group. But maybe you're a sound person, right? And we're going to need a scratchy old Victrola recording from the explorer to the Antarctica in 1906, right? How do we make it sound like that? If you know how to do that, that's your thing. If you have been making YouTube videos for the last 5 years, and know everything about special effects, explosions for videos, get in the art group, or even just how to edit videos, right? That's art too. So what I find is that the look and feel of each year's ARGs are different based on the talents in the art groups. And your ARG is going to be totally different from the 4 o'clock ARG simply because of what skills are in your 23 people. Gameplay. This is both puzzles and events. So we'll talk a lot about codes and puzzles. But a gameplay event might be as simple as take a picture of yourself with a sweet potato and send it to this Tumblr, right? That's a perfectly legitimate gameplay event. So figuring out what those things are, and then tech, people who know how to code, people who know how to set up a website, people who know uh, um, how to make things, right? Usually, we usually get 3D printer people or makers of one sort or another in past to have actual things around campus. In your case, if you can make a thing and take a picture of it, that's as good as having made the thing and put it on campus, because it's all going to be virtual. So I know I'm over time, but going back to this, I will have ARG achievements. I've had to rewrite most of the ARG achievements to accommodate for online stuff. Uh, there must be a forum, some way for your players to communicate with each other. Think about the locksmith ARG. I set up the Discord channel for it, and some of you went off and did it with your friends and family. That's fine, but there has to be a place for your players. If you finish their ARG first, you get 5 extra credit points towards this assignment. So that means if you're getting a C, you get, if you were getting a 75, you get an 80. If you were getting a 90, you get a 95, et cetera, et cetera. I have achievements. Here, I can quickly new share. Where's my achievements? I don't know. That's not it. I don't know where they are. I had a list of achievements. ARG achievements here. Where's that? X. Anyway, there are a bunch of things. I'll go over these on Thursday. So think about what group you want to be in. I have made ARG groups here. ARG artists. Somebody's already put themselves in. 5 students in the ARG artists. 5 in gameplay. 2 producers. 2 recruiters. 5 techs and 5 writers. If you're not sure, we'll talk about this more on Thursday, and we'll go from there. Okay. And I am way over time. So I will stop the share. And I will see you all on Thursday. Okay. Okay. Stopping recording.